It was finally summer vacation. Jane had just finished wrapping up her schoolwork as a college student and was ready for a much-needed break. Coincidentally, Jane was invited by a close friend and classmate, Tina, to visit her village in the province. Tina promised it would be a great experience, especially since Jane had never left the city before. Jane was thrilled, especially when Tina told her that the village had breathtaking views and spots that could rival the country's most popular tourist destinations. According to Tina, it was simply overlooked because it required a 4-hour bus ride and an additional hour-long boat trip to reach. Excited by the thought of adventure, Jane packed her bags and even wrote a list of all the things she wanted to do in the village. On the day of the trip, Jane and Tina boarded a bus for the 4-hour journey. Tina told Jane that when they arrived, there would be a feast to celebrate her return and to welcome Jane to the village. Tina described the village as small and close-knit, where everyone welcomed guests warmly. Jane thought it sounded cozy and charming. After the long bus ride, they boarded a boat for the final leg of the journey. Jane, exhausted, decided to take a nap during the ride. While Jane slept, Tina looked at her with a sad expression and quietly whispered, "I'm sorry." When they arrived at the village, the villagers greeted them with open arms. They placed flower wreaths around their necks and guided them to Tina's family home. As Jane looked around, she noticed the village appeared quite ordinary. There were no signs of the stunning sights Tina had mentioned. Before Jane could question it, Tina eagerly pulled her toward the feast the villagers had prepared. Jane, hungry from the journey, turned her attention to the table full of delicious-looking food. After eating, Jane started to feel unusually sleepy. Assuming it was just fatigue from the trip, she didn't think much of it. Tina noticed and led her to a bedroom to rest. Outside, the villagers continued celebrating, but oddly, many of them wore sinister smiles. Tina stood to the side, looking anxious and out of place. Jane woke up to find herself bound, gagged, and being carried by some villagers. It was nighttime. Up ahead, she saw people in black robes holding torches around a massive bonfire. In the center stood a stone altar with strange cult markings. Jane struggled to escape, but it was no use. The robed villagers chanted in an ancient language as they placed her on the altar. She could feel the heat of the fire slowly scorching her skin. Just when Jane was about to give up, Tina appeared and threw a wet blanket over the flames, extinguishing part of the fire. She quickly untied Jane and helped her up. They ran as the cultists screamed and chased after them. While fleeing, Tina tearfully confessed that she had been pressured to bring an outsider to be sacrificed. The cult was her village, and she had been raised in it. Guilt overwhelmed her, and she had decided to betray the village to save Jane and to finally escape herself. Tina had already prepared a boat for their escape. They both hopped in and rowed away under the cover of night. Jane, crying in anger, demanded Tina take her home. Tina nodded silently and apologized again. Fortunately, the villagers didn't catch up. When they finally made it back to the city, Jane ran to the nearest police station and reported everything that had happened. Jane recounted the entire story, but the police seemed skeptical. They asked where Tina was, but when Jane turned around, she was gone. Feeling defeated, Jane left the police station alone. Exhausted and betrayed, she walked home in silence. Jane never saw Tina at college again. She kept the horrifying story to herself, fearing no one would believe her. Since then, she's been wary of people and is much more careful when accepting invitations. She vowed never to let herself go through something like that again. Please like and subscribe.